this is the logic we're carrying out before broadcast, and it does the count, and once that's finalized, it broadcasts. There are various other ways you could do it.
Yeah.
The general concept is usually the same, that you carry out your calculation. Like, for instance, in the case of a game, you usually wouldn't have this kind of static kind of waiting for things to happen sort of arrangement, because you can imagine if this application is running and nobody clicks on anything, then nothing happens in any of the code. But for instance, in a Mario game, you have the timer counting down even when the player isn't moving. So instead of having this sort of arrangement, you might have in the model a sort of a run loop, maybe while, if you kept like a boolean called finished, and if while not finished, execute the run loop. And maybe you have it clocked so that every, like 1,000 times every second it executes. And that's your sort of resolution for the steps that you can go in and that kind of thing. And that will be continuously updating the clock. And maybe the clock object or the clock variable or whatever time variable you're keeping in the model, every time it updates with a new instance of time, it would call an update on the view as well. So yeah, it's not a fantastic example of that kind of complex thing where you'd be better off with an evaluation loop, really. The concepts are generally the same in that you're trying your best to keep everything as separate as possible. That, again, conceptually, there could be, for instance, in that case, if we're talking about the time variable being updated to be displayed on the view, there could also be another part of the code in the model which is sensitive to the time. Maybe there's a countdown timer on an event in the game that somebody needs to get to. That's also observing it in the same way, and that would register itself as a time observer of some sort. But in that case, it wouldn't make a lot of sense to pass up to the controller and then back down to the model, because you kind of end up in a situation where you're passing the time up to the controller, then the controller is carrying out all the logic for who gets it, and it decides the view needs to know about it, but this other guy in the model layer also needs to know about it. And that's kind of getting into a realm where the controller is carrying out a lot more work than it should be, when its only real job is interpretation of commands coming in, usually.